And we're good. Welcome, everybody, to the Split Hairs Podcast. I'm Dirk.
I'm Ray.
And tonight we're joined by Daniel Baxley, a man I've known for 25 plus years, right? Basically, my entire adult life. Well, welcome, Daniel. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Oh, is your mic on? There you go.
I'm doing good. How about you?
There he is. There he is.
We got a little crowd. How are you guys doing tonight?
Yeah, and happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out, and especially the ones that are actually here tonight. So I've seen you on Facebook. I've only known you now, 25 minutes? Just a couple minutes shy of how long he's known you, I guess. But I've seen your picture on Facebook where you've, I guess, wrestled an alligator.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I dying. All right.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So, can you take me back and tell me the story, like how you're sitting at home and somebody just like, hey, there's an alligator, we got to get Daniel down here.
Yeah. No, my daughter called me and she said, y'all need to come down here and see this alligator. It's in the middle of the road. So, of course, I'm sitting on the front porch smoking, but my wife pulls up. She said, come on, hurry. I'm sitting with no shirt on, no shoes, just a pair of shorts, and jumped in the car. We get down there. And cars parked on the side of the road everywhere. It's on X-Way Road in Laurinburg, or Gibson, excuse me. And so I get out, walk around, look, and of course it's a big alligator for sure. So
How big?
he was 7.5 foot.
7.5 foot. And I'm pretty sure you didn't weigh him, but if you had to guess,
Maybe 250 pounds. Probably.
250.
Something like that. Yeah.
Have you ever
Maybe.
wrestled an alligator before? Is this something that you're familiar with?
No.
No. Okay.
Nope.
All right. So the family's roped you into this. They're like, hey, I think Dad's got too many limbs. Let's get him down here to wrestle this thing.
No, I don't think they expected me to do that either. But it was so when we were riding down, it was just me and my wife, and I kind of joked. I'm like, I'll catch him. It was a joke, but it ended up having to. We had to catch him just for the safety of the alligator and the people. So
Okay. So what? After you catch him, then what? What'd you do?
I took him to a swamp. My dad lives on a swamp. We've got about 7.5 acres. It actually crosses all the way over to the other side of the swamp. Our land does. So we got a dock and we put him down there.
So you put him in your dad's backyard.
I did. Now my dad sends me a message. He's like, I love my what do you call him? My protector or something. You know what I mean? So now he's got
Guardian angel.
There it is. His guardian gator is what he called him.
Yeah, he still
Okay.
stays in the same place.
Yeah.
Where was the gator at? Where?
Where Southern Dream, where it's at the barn where they have the weddings and stuff. It was literally in front of it. Yeah.
Oh my God!
They had the prom the night before there.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Adam, the guitarist in my band, lives right there.
Oh, okay.
Big white house.
Yeah.
Here, that's where Adam lives at.
All right.
That's,
All right. Well, that is very cool.
so it's not your first time with animals,
Oh no!
right? You had some experience with bulls, right?
Oh yeah, I forgot all about that. Yeah, I rodeoed from age 12 to about 21, 22. Yeah.
Rodeo, huh? Okay. So what was your best? I guess
It's
time.
always 8 seconds, but I mean you score, so the bull gets half of
Now,
that score.
listen, I don't really understand how the scoring works.
So the bull gets the first part of that score, and then just say it's an 80, the bull gets the 8, which it could be an 18 or whatever.
Wait, the bull, you're playing against the bull here. The bull gets the score too.
Well, so if you get a score of an 82, the first number is your bull, and the second number is the rider.
Okay.
So that's what gives you the score.
So you get how does it work? You win. You're like, hey, give me that big old mean 90 over there. I need. Some
You don't
numbers.
choose them.
You don't
So
choose
when you
them.
get there, of course, you pay your fee. All the riders get together. We do it's like a rider meeting. So then we draw. It's little tokens. You draw and you pull out whatever bull's name, and that's the one you're riding. So if you pull a ranked bull, it's it's one of those things, man.
So what's the biggest, I guess, ranked bull that you were on?
They're the smallest or are the mean ones.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I rode PBR twice, in Fayetteville and then one in Greensboro. But it was like some of the riders didn't make it to the rodeo that night, and they had to put on the show. I mean, it's PBR, so of course we were the lowest men on the totem pole. And this has been years ago, but I drew a bull. Blueberry Wine was his name, and was dashboarded, and don't remember anything.
Oh.
Never been knocked out. And that was the first time. The last two.
So no really good injuries out of that. Were you lucky enough to walk away
No,
unscathed?
I've got broke toes, fingers. I've got a gash in my head.
Oh yeah.
I started out in Hope Mills. Shady Acres was the name of it. Nice place.
Uh-huh.
They book out every Sunday. They call it a practice shoot. So, you pay, I think it's $20. You get 3 bulls. You can pick those. It's not a rodeo. But then now during that time, they used to, I don't know if they do it now, but you could actually get into a book out, and then there would be so much money in it.
Uh-huh.
So it was a rodeo, but only bulls. So, but it was fun.
Okay. All right, that's interesting. I've never you see it on TV, but you don't really meet these guys, but you do see the ones that do it like a good long time, and they are beat up.
It's just 8 seconds.
No. I mean, doing it
for years. I got you.
Years.
No.
A lot of these shows, they are beat up.
You can Jerome Davis. I mean, he's in a wheelchair. Broke his neck.
Yeah.
But if I'm not mistaken, he's from up toward Greensboro area.
Uh-huh.
And he's got a rodeo school now.
Okay, so what's the most you ever won?
I think it's $2,500.
2,500. Okay.
You belt buckle.
Oh, yeah, I got a buckle about that big.
Belt buckles are a big deal. Yeah.
It looks like a dinner plate.
Yeah. That's important.
I've seen him wear it.
Okay. Well, interesting, man. You seem like an interesting cat here. Very much. All right.
So I met Daniel when I was probably about 15 years old. He was playing with my cousin in a band, and I wanted to be like my cousin, amazing guitar player. And I started hanging out, and instead of riding with my cousin JT, I started riding with Daniel. And I started wearing the same cologne you were wearing.
Really?
Yeah, dude, you were the coolest person in the world.
It's a little bit stalker,
Yeah, but to be so young and get to go to the bars and see him put on a show because you were a true showman, right? Like you held the crowd in the palm of your hand, and I was like, "Hey, man, that's what I want to do. I want to be like that." And then we lost touch, but I was dating this girl, and I shouldn't have been dating her. She was a skank, right? And I saw Daniel in Walmart, and right in front of her, he walks up and he's like, "I saw you last night with a different dude. You were over there." Like, okay. I ended up leaving her at Walmart. Like, I left her there.
I'm bad news, bro.
Obviously, you didn't know that she was
No.
low.
I mean, yeah, I kind of knew, but I didn't know, She had told me she was somewhere else, but Daniel
she lied. Yeah,
she lied.
Yeah, it's got to be cut out immediately. I was like, man, she sounds like fun to me. Like, what are you talking about? But if she's lying, that's a red flag.
Yeah,
that's a red flag. Yeah, for sure. So, all right, well, tell me some more about you. I've heard that you've had a pretty exciting life. And you've had quite a few interesting stories for us.
Yeah. You want me to talk about those?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We can edit anything out if it gets too far.
No, it's fine. I'm okay with it. So, of course, bull riding. Had some injuries. And, hurt my back.
Uh-huh.
Of course, doctor put me on some pain medications. One thing led to another, and it just got worse and worse and worse. And ended up to heroin. Luckily, I say God's grace. My higher power is God. So I said, if it wasn't for God, I wouldn't be here.
Uh-huh.
So I'm 6 years. July 9th, I'll be sober 6 years.
Hey, congratulations. That's huge.
Amazing.
That is huge. Very, very big congratulations.
It's something you deal with every day.
Yeah.
It never goes away.
Yeah, well, no doubt. No, and I'm working now on quitting smoking cigarettes. I'm not saying that it's on the same level, but the point being is like you're addicted. And it's really, really difficult to break away. I did it once and foolishly went back. So relapse is a real thing, you know, for sure. And it's just, it becomes so much of your daily routine that you feel incomplete when you first begin to step away from it.
Oh, yeah. So, which the biggest substance that this country has is actually sugar versus cocaine. Sugar is the most addictive. So they put cocaine and sugar in a rat with a rat. So first they got the rat addicted to the cocaine. And of course, they had another rat that was addicted to the sugar. Well, they allowed the rat with cocaine to try the sugar, and he wouldn't go back to the cocaine.
I find that hard to believe.
You have to look it up.
Yeah. But I mean, you think about it. Like we've all seen crackheads. If you're over the age of 35, you've seen a crackhead.
Of course.
And like, you imagine, and I've heard this joke before, but it's true. How good of a damn salesman did you have to be back in the day to get somebody addicted to crack? Because we all seen the crackheads out there with no teeth and stanking and, you know, doing all kind of dumb stuff, like stealing DVDs and stuff. You know what I mean? How do you get somebody to do it? I guess it works the same way with like heroin and fentanyl too. Like you see these problems, like you see it coming, and yet there's no shortage of people willing to they have to go into it with the mindset of, I'm stronger than this. You know what I mean? Like, I can beat it. I can do it for a little while and enjoy the high and then just walk away. And then eventually it becomes too much. No doubt that has to be the mindset going in. But it's just amazing that we still get people to this day that will go right down that damn road willingly by themselves.
Well, I always said I would never use a needle. Never. I mean, I swore to everything I loved, I would never use a needle. And at the very end, that's where I ended up, which you get addicted to that too.
Yeah.
So even with cocaine, like you get addicted to the snorting, and you know some people snort pain pills or whatever, but they get addicted to just the snort. So I actually got addicted to the stick of the needle and feeling something warm going in my veins. So when I come home from rehab, I actually shot up warm Tylenol just to get that same feeling. Yeah.
Okay.
That's how strong, powerful your brain is when it comes to addiction.
Huh. So how did you get started? Like, you just saw somebody like, man, I've had a shit day. I just want to try something new.
I got hurt, riding bulls,
Uh-huh.
and the doctor put me on pain pills.
Okay.
And
Then
my
he
dad
took
got
your
a
supply
motorcycle.
away.
Right. Well, my dad got a motorcycle wreck, and I went to Wilmington with him, and we were there for about 3 months, and in that time, I run out of pain pills. But I only took one today, and maybe take one in 3 or 4 days. And when we come home, I got real sick and didn't know. I thought I had the flu. And a buddy of mine come over and he's like, "Dude, you're real sick." And I was like, "You're crazy." So I'm telling you, it gives me one. It was a domino effect.
Yeah.
If I would have, opened my eyes and like, "What are you doing? This is stupid." Maybe I could. It wouldn't have been so hard. But from 2010 to 2019, where I was at.
So what happened in 2019 that you're like, this is it, I'm done, I've had enough, I've got to change?
Well, I got a wonderful wife. Her name's Christy, and I got 3 beautiful kids. And, I said I loved them, but I didn't show it. So, she was done, but I was madly in love with her.
Now, she stuck with you. 10
stuck-
years? It was a decade, right?
Oh, yeah. So we've been together since, we've been together 23 or 24 years. We've been married 14 years. And there at the end, it was over. Like, I had to go. And I made a decision to go to rehab. And I asked her, I said, "If I go, would you be willing to let us work it out?" And she said, "Well, just go and let's see." I went. My son, he was 8 years old. That was something that was amazing. He knew, it's obvious to everybody around you. You can't hide it. But me and him, I work on housing and stuff. So we went and worked on a house. We were leaving, and I asked him a question. No, we were on the way there, and I asked him a question. I said, "If I leave for a few months, and then I never the way I am right now, or I stay home and we do what I'm doing, which is worse?" And he said, "Daddy, I'll miss you." And I was like, "Well, we didn't talk about it. We got to the house. I worked a little while, about 4 hours. And we got back in the truck, started home, and he said, Daddy, I'm 99% sure. I was like, what? At first I didn't know what he was talking about. I mean, we had talked about it. And he said, well, you stay at yours. So it was time for me to go. I think it was a week. That was on a Sunday. I was on a plane Thursday to go to Florida. And that's where I ended up. So,
No doubt.
that was a tough thing. Of course, I was using methadone at the same time. Methadone is, it's worse than the other.
No way. I thought methadone wasn't supposed to give you a buzz.
Oh, methadone gets you high 100%.
Well, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
they
Yes,
use
sir.
that. That's just.
Well, I thought, well, and what's the point? You're going to these methadone clinics. I thought the whole point of that was to get you off of drugs.
Well, that's so you'll buy your drugs from them instead of buying the
Oh
drugs.
yeah,
on
it's
the
all a
street.
money racket.
Yeah.
It's all a money racket. Now, I will say that I'll advocate for Suboxone for sure. Where methadone gets you high, Suboxone doesn't.
Maybe I had the two confused.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But so you have methadone, Suboxone, and Subutex. So methadone gets you high. Subutex, you take it and it tells your brain, it attaches to the same receptors and tells your brain that you're getting high, which you're not. But the thing with that is you can still get high on Subutex. Suboxone has naloxone in it, which is the same thing that's in Narcan. So it blocks anything that you try to do.
So you cannot get high.
Exactly.
Oh.
So that's why I advocate for Suboxone instead of any of the other outlets.
Okay.
Which I heard Kratom was really good too. I tried it when I first come home because I was still in precipitated withdrawals for a long time, and I'll have them now, just out of the blue.
So I actually have an allergy to NSAIDs, right? I can't take aspirin or ibuprofen or anything like that. And I'll tell you straight up, like Kratom will give you that high.
Yes.
I don't know
Yes.
about the addictive properties of it, but I have used it because I have no choice. You know what I mean? It's either that or I have to, try to find something that's illegal. I just as soon stay healthy. You know what I mean? I don't want to go down that road.
Yeah.
So I kind of try to lean more towards the plant-based, Kratom's of plants. I try to kind of lean more towards that. But I got to admit, man, like you could probably get addicted to that stuff.
I've heard a lot of stories.
Yeah.
But it actually works, though. I mean, I've heard a lot of testimonials on it.
It's got to be better for you than heroin.
Very much so.
I
Very
mean,
much.
and it should be cleaner, you would think.
Oh,
You know?
Yeah, heroin is
Who knows?
It's cooked.
Who
Yeah.
knows?
You never know what you're getting in.
There could be, shoelaces in the damn
For
thing
me-
that they chopped up.
It's made me lazy. I've stopped searching for a way to get better. Like my neck hurts, my back hurts. I know there's steps I can take, right? But with pain pills, it makes me not want to search for a way to get better because I got that and I can just go, right? And I'm not going to take the steps that fix my body. Because I can do yoga, physical therapy.
To be
The
fair,
stronger
though,
I get,
most doctors' offices aren't trying to fix you.
No.
They're,
No.
like you said, it's a racket, it's a
Yes.
game. So
yeah.
you could do the yogas and stuff like that, but you're not getting anything. Like a doctor could come in and say, hey, you want to do this, this, and this to actually fix it. This relieves the pain, this relieves pressure, this starts realigning.
Mhm.
The little things like that. And it's very hard to find that doctor to do that.
Well, I was seeing a doctor and up in the Southern Pines Spinal Clinic, right? And I went there for a good 8 months, and I was in a lot of pain.
Mhm.
But they didn't prescribe any type of pain meds, right? They give you ibuprofen, and they're looking and they say, well, we can't really do nothing here. And then I was like, look, I'm in a lot of pain. I'm not sleeping. They're like, well, we can send you to the pain clinic, but if we send you to the pain clinic, we are not going to see you anymore. So your choice is to get a bit of relief now and us not touch you, not talk to you. They're going to take over your treatment. And then you go there and they're just like, hey, here you go. And
that seems ridiculous. Truly.
But he's 100%.
Yeah.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah,
I believe that.
That's 100%.
Like we can either fix you or you can just not be in pain.
Yeah.
But you can have both.
And when I first hurt my neck, man, it was like I had a toothache right here
Yeah.
for a good year and a half. It didn't go away. It didn't calm down. It is just constantly throbbing. And when you get to that place where you're laying in bed and you're like, am I going to hurt forever? Is it going to feel like it does right now forever? Right? That's
The
a low
answer is
place.
no. It's to the end of your life. It'll not happen forever.
That's the choice. Do I lay there and have these thoughts, or do I get something that's going to take the edge off? Because again, they don't want to fix you, because if they fix you, you're going to quit coming.
Well, and also with these doctors, if you go back and look at the Sadler family, the inventor of OxyContin, they were getting kickbacks. The doctors, when they prescribe that medication, the doctor gets the kickback from when they prescribe it, because then, of course, he's filling a prescription, whether Medicaid or Medicare or insurance companies are paying for the medication. So they're making more money to have you on all this medication.
Of course.
And that goes for any diabetes medications, anything, allergy medicines, for all of it.
Yeah. And yeah, I can speak from, because I've got a lot of broken bones and I've done a lot of wild things in my life, and I can speak from experience to find that doctor that's willing to just be like, hey, let's do this and this and this, and we'll fix it. They're low. They're like, oh yeah, that hurts, and here's let me give you some ibuprofen or something. Oh no, I'm allergic to ibuprofen. All right, well here's steroids. Like steroids. Well, what is steroids going to do? But that's what they'll do.
I had they talked me in before I went, to the pain clinic. They're like, so we're going to give you epidural. And I started getting epidurals in my neck, and I started getting them in my lower back. I think I had 3 in my lower back, 2 in my neck. It's scary when they're sticking a needle that big into your neck right there.
How long?
Yeah, oh, dude, yeah.
No
Like
way.
that. Yes, sir.
Into
Yes,
your
sir.
spine.
Yes.
All of it?
Yes.
They'd be coming out the front. Wouldn't
Like,
are they going
well,
down?
they're going into the disc like itself. But
Wait, they're poking into the bone?
No,
No,
the
the
disc.
disc, yeah.
The disc is actually like like cartilage almost.
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
So if you hear somebody having a herniated disc or a ruptured disc, what it is they have compression down on that disc, and
Okay.
it bulges out from that
Mhm.
the disc that's like that.
Uh-huh.
So then the disc is in between each vertebrae. So if you have a rupture,
Okay.
then it's pressed down. It's almost like a
So-
gel
Yeah.
cartilage.
It's like a shock absorber.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then it touches all your nerves.
Yeah.
And that's where the pain comes from.
Yeah. And so then I started researching these shots they're giving me, and they're horrible for you. Then they're going to make it worse. The first shot, I had relief for maybe a month. Then the second time I got one, it was maybe like a week at work. But they're going to deteriorate the rest of what you got in there to make the problem worse, so they stay in business, right? Like, because if you go to YouTube right now and look up, hey, should I get, this epidural? Everybody's going to tell you no, that it's outdated. We shouldn't do it anymore. It's really bad for you and going to make you worse. But that's what they want to do. And the first time I had it done, I was at a doctor's office in Laurinburg. Doctor ended up getting arrested. Remember that guy? He took me into a room, laid me on a table, rubbed it down. He had a nurse there, and he stuck it in my back, right? And he's like, all right, you can go. The second time I had it done in Southern Pines, and they took me into an operating room. I had to have somebody with me to drive. Like, they made me go sit for 30 minutes afterwards, But Laurinburg just took me into a room and was like, all right, there you go.
They did me the exact same way. Did the exact same thing.
I've seen my wife get one. Actually, I've seen her get 3. We have 3 kids.
Yeah.
So actually, my former wife. But I watched those happen 3 times. And honestly, I mean, she didn't seem to have any kind of buzz. Like, she was out of
No,
pain,
yeah.
but
There's
didn't have
no
any kind of
buzz.
So honestly, I mean, it didn't really seem like it was needed an operator. I mean, they had her set up in the bed and bend over, and they had a couple doctors there, pokey, done.
So there's a really, really high risk that you can be paralyzed with them doing it.
Of course. If
Like-
they're messing with your spine.
Yeah, stupid high risk of being paralyzed. And like, especially when I was getting them in my neck, I didn't know how dangerous it was getting them, right there. And because it's the top of my neck, like one little twitch that way, and I'm never walking again,
When he said, be still, you just be still.
Yeah.
That's what they would tell you. Usually what happens is they'll take they have a X-ray machine right in front of them, and they'll take a picture, and then they'll stick the needle in and move it so far down, take another picture, and they can see the needle, and they'll move it, and then take another picture, move it, take another picture. It's crazy.
Right.
Now they've come out with new technology, of course, so it's live now.
Yeah.
So,
Interesting. All right, so what else you got for us, man? What else have you done in your life? You've been a bull rider, an alligator wrestler, a heroin addict.
it's a criminal too.
Those guys go hand in
But
hand
I'm gonna tell you,
with
so
the heroin, wouldn't it?
oh yeah, sure. But this thing went crazy online on Facebook and about the alligator.
Yeah.
And Tanya Brown posted or whatever on the news, and this thing, a bunch of comments come on. I'm going through them, reading them, and everybody's saying, "Oh, you done a good job," whatever. That's pretty cool. But then you start seeing people saying, "Oh, he's a drug addict." Like, what in the world, man? But
People that knew you back in the day.
yeah, and it's like the person that actually made one of the comments was like, didn't even know me during that time when I was like that. So, which was crazy to me. You know what I mean? And it doesn't hurt, sure, but the thing with that is I know where I'm at. I don't have nothing to prove. There's an old saying,
Yeah.
they're not feeding me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I can keep on with that. So, my wife told me, she said, Daniel, look, if there's more comments about people saying they were proud of you, done a good job, and stuff like that. And also, I didn't tell you this, but so they're actually talking about charging me for moving the alligator. It's illegal. It's considered harassing an alligator.
Yeah, messing with wildlife.
Right. So they luckily there's a state trooper that was there and two deputies, one off duty, one on duty. Now there was a whole mix up with that they called wildlife. Wildlife said they wouldn't come. Well, there was a miscommunication with Scotland County and North Carolina Wildlife. They were told the alligator was in water. Well, Wildlife sent back and said, well, if he's in water, leave him alone. We didn't hear that. So we then the highway patrolman's like, I'm not messing with him. My insurance ain't gonna cover it. And then animal control was called for Scotland County, and they wouldn't. Well, actually, they just said they were not going to deal with an alligator.
I'm surprised you got them to answer the phone.
Yeah, well, it was actually Scotland County Communication. So they're going to answer for them.
Okay.
So, it was a miscommunication. Now, if they would have known he was beside the road and there was that many people around, it was a safety hazard, and of course, they were taunting him like crazy, man. Several people throwing stuff at him. I saw coins thrown at him.
How far from the water was
I don't know.
I don't know.
There's no water around there?
There's a pond. If you're standing at Southern Dream and look across the road, kind of to the left, there is a pond there. But so the game warden called me. He called me that Tuesday. This happened on Sunday. Well, actually, the animal control from Scotland County called me, Mr. Brown, and he said, Daniel, animal control, wildlife wants to talk to you. We got a problem. And he kind of explained to me. So about 10 minutes later, I get a call from wildlife. He tells me that I've committed 2 major crimes. They're misdemeanors, but still, it's crimes. And he wasn't sure if they were going to charge me. But the pathologist called him from North Carolina. And I'm still waiting on a phone call from the biologist. Haven't got it yet. But so wildlife, he went through some stuff with me and explained it. And the highway patrol sent me a message while I was on the phone with him. And he said that they were talking about charging me. He actually got in trouble for letting me do it. But of course, we didn't know. You know what I mean? We had no clue.
You're trying to help this thing out.
Yeah,
I'm trying to keep somebody from tearing up their vehicle and this dinosaur from getting killed.
That's what he felt like for sure.
I'm sure there was some part of you like I've always wanted to wrestle a gator.
Very much so.
Yeah.
So last year we went to Florida, in the division or the it's like apartments we stayed in for that week, and there was a pond there, and of course there was 2 alligators. Well, I named one of them Fred. Now this was last year. So, I fed him a little bit while I was there. And of course, there's signs that says don't feed the alligators or whatever because they don't want to get them used to people.
Right.
and
Absolutely.
then they get closer.
Yeah, everything is
Somebody gets
dangerous.
hurt.
Somebody loses the kid.
But he was small, but he was probably for me to you long, about 4 foot. But I would talk to the chicken or whatever, and I'd tap him on the head and he'd jump up and grab the chicken or whatever. That was probably the only time I've ever touched an alligator. But so we went back this year, 3 weeks ago, and get to the pond and I was looking for Fred. Fred's not there. They said that he ended up being about 7 foot. They had to get him going. They had a lot of people that were coming and complaining. They were scared of him. So when my daughter called me and told me the alligator, of course, I'm talking to my wife. I'm like, his name's Fred. And of course, my daughter picks at me and says, well, that's where Fred was. He was on his way to Lawrence. So we named him Fred.
Okay. And how big's the swamp?
That we put him in?
Yeah.
Oh, man, it goes from, where Rich Mill Pond is?
Yeah.
So that feeds into that swamp. That, where I put him in, it actually feeds into X-Way Pond. And then it goes into South Carolina and dumps into the Lumber River. So there's no telling. And the game
He'll probably end up going further south than more than likely, huh?
maybe.
Water lines.
Well, and you were asking that where did he come from? So the game warden told me that alligators this time of year, males, actually can travel up to 100 miles, which is crazy.
Really?
Yeah. And they don't have to be in water. Anytime we've ever seen an alligator, they're in water. They don't have to be. They can live completely outside of water. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, they can, but they can't because they can't really hunt too well on land. They're an ambush predator. They rely on that water to hide them.
You would think.
And everything gets thirsty.
We think that, they talk about global warming and they talk about all these things, but in the past couple of years, I've seen animals that haven't been in this area. There was the talk of the armadillos. I didn't see an armadillo, but there was armadillos in Scotland County.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've never seen that before. There was a lynx in my backyard. A Canadian lynx. Like they don't live around here, but I'm 100% I saw it. That it wasn't a bobcat. That was a lynx. And how many reports of gators is it now? There was another gator, a couple in Bennettsville, right? Wagrams had some gators, right? So it's
Well, there used to be an alligator farm in Richmond County.
really
Yeah, somehow or another. Yeah, somehow or another, it was connected to Henson Lake. But when I was a kid, I never saw one, but I kept hearing stories about alligators being out there. Got a good one for you. I always heard these stories right back here in Boyd Lake, the actual Boyd Lake. There used to be like a little beachy area there. There was a dance hall. There was like a little restaurant there. I mean, there was a big like changing area and all this stuff. It was really awesome. But people always told stories about jellyfish. Like, there was jellyfish in that lake. It was jellyfish in that lake. Yeah. So, I mean, it was a kid, so we're like, it's a Bigfoot story. They're just trying to scare us or whatever. So we always blew it off. Well, when we moved into this new house, was about 11 years ago or so, my son and I, the neighbor says, hey, if you want to take the paddle boat out and go around, you can go ahead. I wanted to see the lake. We're brand new there. So my son and I, we get this paddle boat. We start going out. My son, mind you, I'm looking at the houses and checking all this kind of stuff out. And Roland says, hey, Dad, what's up with all the jellyfish? And I was like, boy, don't be stupid. We're in fresh water. He's like, no, Dad, just look at the water. And I look and there's millions of them. Like, I mean, literally, that's all you can see when you look at the water. Just little tiny jellyfish, maybe that big, it's the biggest, just all over the place. So I had him catch one. I said, catch it. Now, if you go on my Facebook, you'll see the video of this thing. I put it in my fish aquarium, and it was in there for, 2 or 3 weeks. It would just do this and go wherever the pump would push it. So I look into it. It's not actually jellyfish. It's it's like a slime bacteria kind of thing.
I know exactly what you're talking.
Yeah, and then when the conditions are right, it grows what's called a medusa. Almost looks like a little flower with the little stringy ends, and then they break off. And their only job is to do this until they fall somewhere new, and they'll start to know new progress over again.
wow.
So my point being is like just because somebody, they'll tell you that something's there or whatever, I don't blow those kind of things off anymore. It's like alligators that hits the lake.
Well, I know for sure we've got panthers in the same place that the alligators called. I saw them.
Yeah.
And there's no cat that we have around this area that would have a tail.
Yeah.
And he was black, like jet black, and his tail came out and went down and looped back up, and then it straightened back out. It was
Black is actually really rare, like ultra rare.
but he was black. I mean, there've been several pictures that were took.
Yeah. I've
Old
heard
State
about
Road,
it. Yeah. And dude, I was driving home from a wrestling show one night. We were going a back way. It was up on the other side of Wadesboro. I forgot that little Canter. Is that it?
Candor, yeah.
Candor. And we're driving the back way, dude. And I swear to God, I saw two wolves.
Oh yeah.
Like those were wolves. Those were not dogs. Yeah, they were bigger than coyotes. Like I've seen a coyote. Those were wolves. And the other boys in the car, they were asleep. And of course, they didn't believe me. But we were out in the middle of nowhere, and they were just beside the road eating a piece of roadkill. There's animals that they say aren't here that are here, and you would never know,
Including Bigfoot.
including
Great,
Bigfoot.
a great segue.
Have you?
No.
So I want to ask you, what is your favorite conspiracy theory? You do not have to actually believe it, but what is your favorite?
I was on the way here. I actually was watching where you were at the racetrack, asking people about their favorite conspiracy theory. Oh wow! Where's that at?
What's
That's a big bobcat.
Yeah, that's Bobcat. Yeah,
That's a big cat.
yeah.
That's crazy.
And if you ask science, they don't live around here. They don't come this far.
Oh, I've seen
in,
bobcats
all
over.
all the time.
Yeah, I actually had to kill one for chickens.
Back to my question.
Trying to keep going.
I say, look, you don't have to actually believe the conspiracy theory. This might be one that's fun.
Maybe one of my favorites. It's gonna go political, man. And I don't like doing political.
Hey, let's go.
A lot of the good ones are political.
Yeah, well, the Russian hoax. That's
The Russian hoax?
Yeah, that's probably one of my favorites.
You talking about Trump's first
Yeah.
election? The Russians were the ones that got him elected.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, during the Hillary Clinton and Trump.
Yeah.
They're bad ones.
Yeah.
That's mine. That's
That's your favorite one?
probably so.
Okay. All right. No.
Yeah. Russia's done some things. They
Well, they just had an old they made this
that satellite.
Well, what was satellite? It was put in orbit. It wasn't to be a satellite. It was a probe. It was supposed to go to Venus and punch to the atmosphere.
That's right. Yeah.
But the rockets malfunctioned and
it
ended up
orbited
around us for
Yeah.
53 years.
Yep.
And fell back to the planet.
You know that something went across, I think it was Hartsfield
I
or
saw
something yesterday or
Yeah.
the day before. It was the same day that
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
That
It
was
supposed
last
to hit
night.
orbit.
Yeah.
And the flash of light went across the sky, and then there was a loud boom that shook the windows in Hartsfield. There's no military base close by.
But they had there was an earthquake yesterday.
Was there?
Yeah, right there.
Well,
Tennessee,
where
North
the planes
Carolina.
coming from is my
Yeah.
That happens.
There's a video.
That's actually very common during an earthquake that there'll be flashes of light in the air.
Really?
Yes, they believe that. I think it's something to do with magnetism, like as the shifting, it causes a big charge. It charges the
Where
atmosphere.
was the earthquake at?
I was North Carolina and Tennessee border. That's where it was actually.
That
at.
wouldn't have been Hartsfield. There's no way that we felt it that far.
Okay.
Yeah, this was South Carolina.
Yeah.
More closer to us than anything,
Yeah.
Hartsville from my house, I think it's about an hour or so.
Yeah.
It's Darlington County,
Mhm.
Florence. So I wouldn't think they would have felt
Really,
it. Not the shook windows.
Yeah, there was video. I saw the video of it.
I haven't seen it.
Like it went across the sky
Yeah.
though. It just went across the sky. First, people got on Facebook, of course, and were talking about it was fireworks and things like that.
So you say it's Hartsville.
Look up Tanya.
Yeah,
Brown.
look up Tony Brown.
So we need Tanya Brown.
I can pull it up
Yeah,
really
let me
quick.
look at it on Facebook.
Yeah, I got you.
Oh, you got it. All right.
I can.
Here's
Told
the-
you.
Our latest.
There it is. There it is.
Watch it. You see it?
Is your logo.
And nobody,
Like that.
it starts from over here and goes across.
Like that.
I'll just turn it this way. Maybe we get.
Yeah.
I think it's done or something.
Start it over.
Oh, it's white. You probably not getting very good signal. Okay.
Well,
I mean, who knows? It could have been maybe, but I don't want to say it crashed into the Indian Ocean. All right.
well, and that's
It's in the Indian Ocean or the
but it
Persian
was just
Sea. I can't remember which one.
it was just a coincidence that
Yeah.
it happened the same day.
It
That
could be.
yeah,
That could be related.
Yeah, and around the same time.
The atmosphere.
Well, and
where
that-
it came in.
right, and that it being off at a distance, and of course when it comes to the atmosphere, it's boom.
I mean, that seemed awful big though. Like we've seen like
Right.
the SpaceX stuff coming in, and it's not like flag or anything bright like
You're
that.
talking about conspiracy theory.
Yeah. Flat Earth.
Man. Have you ever went down that rabbit hole?
Yeah, no, not really.
Yeah.
Not
Uh,
really.
Well, listen, there's a of course they always say that every time we get a view of Earth, it's on a fisheye lens.
Okay.
Well, this part makes sense. So you have an airplane. The pilot never drops the nose to go around the curvature of the Earth. Never.
Well, there's a really, really good explanation of that. One being gravity, constantly pulling you to the center, but also
But gravity.
when a plane flies, it doesn't fly like this. A plane always flies up the air, right? 'Cause it needs the push on the belly, right? And it actually isn't being pushed up into the air. It's actually being pulled in. It's the vacuum that's over the plane that actually holds it up into the air. believe it or not.
You know, the big thing about flat Earth that gets me is when you go to start talking about Antarctica and the rules of Antarctica. Because you're not allowed to go to Antarctica. Well, we know nobody's. I mean, there's a base right there at the front of Antarctica where a couple of scientists go, but you can't go no further than that. Like that's it. That there's a treaty between all the nations. Yes, that we are not going to go to Antarctica. And then you hear these stories about people that went to Antarctica and the stuff they've seen. Like apparently that's where all the aliens live, right? That's
Oh yeah, I've heard that. It's actually I heard a thing about the Anunnaki where they actually bring up Antarctica and the flood. Like the flood is in all the myths and everything was also in their mythology too. But it's more akin to when their ship took off, it was under the ice, right? Because I think the idea being the planet X, whatever, it comes around like every 10,000 years. And apparently there is the planet out there. They found it recently.
Yeah.
But it comes around like every 10,000 years. So they drop these guys off. They're here for 10,000 years. There's 10,000 years worth of ice built up on top of it in Antarctica. So when it flies out, yeah, I've seen that. I've seen the consecutive rings of it. Can you send us a screenshot to him?
Yeah.
So he can make sure he gets this on the video.
Um,
But anyways, when their plane or when their spacecraft take off, all the ice fell off into the ocean. That's what supposedly caused the flood due to the Anunnaki.
really? Now, there was a guy that done an experiment. So whatever I don't know what the curvature, the height of the curvature is,
Mhm.
but what he done, I think it's like so many feet or so many whatever.
That's not-
So I think he was about 9 miles away on a lake. So of course, it's supposed to be a flat surface there. So he put a laser up where you should not see the laser from that far away. So he goes and gets to where he said that he should be able to see it, and he sees the laser. And you should by the curvature. And he did the math. I don't remember what it was, but and of course, again, it's conspiracy. And
I think here's the thing.
I'm not saying
You're
I'm
calling it
a
conspiracy, but you're selling this thing like you actually believe it.
I'll say this. I'm not saying that I'm 100% believe it. And I'm not saying it's flat. I'm not saying it's round. The thing is, I don't know. I ain't never been high enough to tell you. Now, of course, I flew to Florida. I didn't see a curve.
Yeah.
I mean, I looked out the window just for that reason. Step inside the window, but I didn't see a curve. That's just what I saw.
So when I was younger, we went out deep sea fishing. Sure, you get out there, and especially on a calmer day, it more or less looks flat, right? But if you take, I'm sitting behind the window as a child, if you take a piece of paper and you hold it up, like you can see just the slightest little sliver of it, it'll pop back up off that horizon. But you have to really get at it. And it's hard to do on a boat because you're constantly going up and down and everything else. But I did it and I was convinced,
We
as a
do it
child.
on a pier.
On a pier? Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Right.
Why wouldn't you? The horizon's the horizon. It's like, what, 2 miles?
Yeah.
It's like 2 miles that you can see in all directions.
Right.
So you're only catching a small bit of it. So it's just going to be the tiniest little niche popping up off the top of it.
Dude, I'm not saying that. So, because I don't want people
You
to
know,
say
like,
that. Flat Earth is no base.
if we drain the oceans, right?
Okay.
And we slid Mount Everest next to the Mariana Trench.
I hope we wait
Yeah.
to see it.
Yeah, it's
No. And if you backed out, the earth is so smooth that it's even smoother than like a cue ball. Yeah. So if you could hold the earth in your hand, you rub your fingers over it, it would be the smoothest thing you ever felt. Even with the Mariana Trench next to Mount Everest. The Neil deGrasse Tyson done a whole bit on that.
It's a rabbit hole. I'll say.
Yeah.
that much.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I was just watching a video on Facebook, and or it might have been YouTube, but I watched it. I'm like, man, interesting. So I started, and then there again, I can't say it's flat. I don't know that. You know what I mean? There's several different things, books, and even we can get into the Bible with that about the earth and where they talk about, there's a firmament that separates the waters from the waters. The waters of heaven and the waters of earth.
but to be fair about that, they also did not know where the sun went at night.
Well,
And they used leeches. Leeches was that's your health care. You're sick with
They still use
anything.
leeches.
They're
We
putting
still use
leeches on it.
medical leeches.
Well,
today.
so the story with the sun and the moon is that for the flat earther is that the sun actually doesn't go around, it goes around.
Okay.
So, and it's perception, where when the sun is in China or wherever, of course, we don't see it. And it's just perception. It's the way they describe it. I don't know. I really don't. I mean, it's weird that we went to the moon in 1960 something, and then we never went back. And we got way more technology now today than we've ever had.
We do, but I do believe that we need to go back just to build it as like a launch platform base. You know what I mean? We put all this
You go
stuff
further.
there, and we can build
and go
this,
further.
everything there. Yeah, and then you can get to Mars much easier.
Maybe.
So I think the main problem is the Van Allen belt, Van Allen radiation belt. So America, being the geniuses we are, we were like, hey, there's all this radiation. Let's shoot nuclear weapons at it and see what happens.
Right.
And we made it even more radioactive than what it was. We kind of supercharged it, trying to blow it up for some reason.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that was when we were doing all the nuclear testing. When we dropped on Japan, that's some of the testing they did was they just shot nuclear missiles up. Why?
I mean, but like, what's the point of the nuclear part? What are you tying that back in?
Well, they say that that's the reason we can't go to the moon because a living being can't go through the radiation belt. There's that belt of radiation.
We've done it like 2 times.
No.
All the Apollo missions that went out there.
So that's the thing.
Human.
Or you don't believe we went?
I don't believe we went.
You don't believe so?
No,
I don't
sir.
I don't
See,
No, sir.
Bear is on he thinks that we went. We also shot all this extra footage that we decided not to waste because we were in the race with the Russians. He's saying that it's both. Like we went and we shot a fake moon landing. My karaoke guy.
Okay.
Oh, he loves some conspiracy theories. He does.
Like that there's just so much stuff. The shadows, the way they looked on, the way they were walking. We didn't. How did we shoot that film in 70s or 60s? 60s. the 60s, like we didn't have a lot figured out. But now we have more technology in our pocket than any of those ships. Why aren't we going back? Why aren't we?
What's the point in going back other than to say you did it?
Resources.
That was a unit measurement contest between the capitalists and socialists.
I know this is off topic, but there was a lot of moon rocks that were brought back right from the mission. Did you know that those moon rocks were stolen by this guy that was like a janitor working there?
Nice.
And he took them home and had sex on them.
What?
Yeah, him and his girlfriend. He
weird.
took them home, and they just so they could say they did it. They went to prison for it. But that's a true story.
Weird.
So
this is the worst kinks out there.
This is the footage of the moon landing. But I just don't think that happened. I just don't.
Because how would they get back?
Yeah.
Like you would need the rockets to propel you, right?
Yeah. Well, so
there's no oxygen.
No, they're on a little lander. Is all it is.
Tell me where we got that video camera from before.
We've had that.
No. I'm talking about outside of the rocket. This is the landing. Now the shadows is what throws off. It's not long, so I don't think it's long. No.
So I'm saying now, Bear, like I said, he's firmly in the boat category. Like we filmed some of this stuff in the studio, but we actually made it too.
Like now, didn't you hear those stories of the guys that went up there and they said, "We ain't going back because of what we saw there."
I've heard
No,
that.
there's some. So the light, if you'll notice that. So when now the light is hitting him in the back. Then there was a light that came. The shadow went the wrong way. We couldn't understand that. This is actually the real footage of it.
Okay.
Look, this it's weird. They got another shot of it from a different angle, and the shadow was actually going the wrong way, and they couldn't figure out why. That might be the shot right there. I can't get that away. Like the ship. You see the ship thing is going toward you, and then the other is that's the video. So you can't make it go away. I may can get a image.
Really don't see a shadow there at all.
Well, you see the ship above it.
I see the ship and I see his shadow. I don't really see a shadow for the flag anywhere. Something is thin. It looks like they're facing head on.
What is that right there?
It looks like the leg off the lander.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
There's another image of it. It's a little weird.
Personally, yeah, I believe we went, but I also believe that we really hadn't had a need to put those kind of resources into going back. We won the pissing contest, right? Basically, at that point, we did it. There's really we need to invest in other things. My thing is, we're going to need to go back, and now we know it. So why aren't we getting some robots up there, start mining out some ore and stuff, so we can get a production facility going, so we can get the hell out of here too.
So you got a shadow going that way, and the rocket shadow going that way. The flag is going this way.
It seems awful thick. That shadow is much thicker than this pole. I'm more of the apt to there's something back here that's casting a shadow back this way.
There's nothing else there but the rocket.
See how it goes? The shadow there goes all the way back behind it. It's catching these rocks and actually heading.
And I may be showing you the wrong image. I don't know. Let's see if I can. I just don't know. I'm not a believer in the moon landing at all. I mean,
look, it didn't matter what stance you took. I was going to offer the counter side, right?
Sure. So, but you didn't mention anything about the Russian.
About the Russian hoax?
Yeah.
I'm not very knowledgeable on it. Only thing I know is that I guess they were supposed to have hacked into a few of the systems. Yeah. Okay. I mean, like I said, I don't really know a whole bunch about it, so I really can't go guess at this. I've had conversations.
Sure. Well, that's kind of
a flat earth thing. I've had a few conversations with people. It's more or less a newer thing.
There's a video of a guy. He actually spoke about going over the ice wall, and he landed. Have you seen that?
I have.
And he wrote a book,
yeah.
And he talked about everything that he saw. He had two fighter jets come beside him and told him to turn back, and he refused. And he kept going. Well, they eventually turned away. And then he went for, I think he said he went for a couple hours and then he landed. He come into some land, like grass, trees, and it was a different color, like, and he landed and he saw all kinds of things. It almost makes you,
Why was it a different color?
it's just the colors were more,
Vibrant.
more
Yeah,
vibrant, I guess you would say. So he talked about, let me go back. So I was going to say that when he described it, it makes you think of, what's the movie? What's the with the blue guy?
Shit.
What are they?
Uh,
Y'all know the movies? The guy, he's blue. All of
they
them.
kind of look like cats.
Yeah, they got a long tail. You know what I'm talking about? I can't either. Avatar.
Avatar. Yeah.
So it just watching the video or reading some of the stuff, it makes me think how he described it. The rivers were like a waterfall was going upside down. And if you look at Avatar, there's water falling off of little islands and it's weird. But so that's what it made me think of. Now this happened way before Avatar. I mean, this was years and years ago that he went. But it's weird that whole maritime law thing, like you were talking, they won't allow us to do research. They try to say that it's more of a to protect somebody or protect their life or whatever. But there again, it's not nobody else's job to protect me but me. So why can't I? You know what I mean? So and we can go to and we can go. It's just you can't go
so far. Yeah.
Right. Now there's another video of a guy that they come up with a boat. They snuck in. And they come up to the ice wall or the ice. And they throw a ladder up and they go up and they go so far. They can't go up so far, but they go a little ways, just kind of looking and they drill a little bit and get some of the stuff out.
And I think Hollywood they work against us, right? They'll put stuff out there that's real just to kind of prepare us, get us ready. For example, Men in Black. The internet was getting big and people were Googling things. There's a lot of stories about the Men in Black, right? But if you Google it right now, you're going to get nothing but the movie.
Yeah.
You're going to get pages and pages about the movie. Maybe one little article here, one little article there.
Men in Black now is Space Force.
You know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, so that's just spy. That's a spy agency.
Oh, of course.
I literally, my friend owns a surplus store in town.
Yeah.
And I was down talking to him, and this, a little family had come in there, and I remember they were looking for something. They were wanting like patches or something. I'm like, oh look, here's a really cool Space Force thing. I'm like, yeah, but we want something real. I'm like, no, Space Force is real. Like, no, it's not. And I'm like, no, really, the Space Force is real. Because when everybody hears Space Force, they automatically start thinking Space Marines.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we're going to send people up there that's going to live in.
Oh yeah, they're going to shoot aliens and stuff. That's all that everybody thinks. But it's movies that cause people to think that.
Yeah,
it is. So, we've always told stories. We've always told fantastic tales to each other. Like as far away you can look in like cave paintings and stuff like that, where they were telling like, wow.
You were talking about the story of the flood earlier. You had the story of Gilgamesh, right? And it's pretty much word for word Noah's Ark, but it's 1,000 years before Noah's Ark. But every single civilization has that same story. It's just like the pyramids. You got Egypt building pyramids, but then you got these guys in South America building pyramids. They never met, but they're all having the same ideas at the same time.
So I don't know if you knew this, but at the same time that we got flight here, supposedly Australia did the same thing. And they were right on top of each other.
Yeah.
I think we beat them by a week or two. They
Yeah.
did the same thing in Australia that the Wright brothers did here.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I've heard that theory plenty of times too. That when you have an idea, that idea is had by other folks at the same time. So it's almost like we're getting fed information. Like, all right, guys, it's time for you guys to start thinking about whatever light speed travel. Right, it's time to go that route. I believe something's out there nudging us, but you believe it's God, or
theory,
you
right?
believe it's underground civilization, or you believe it's aliens, or whatever you believe. I believe something is definitely kind of directing us.
Very much.
But from the shadows.
Well, and you can go back to when you were talking about the flood. So they found, they're saying that some of the canyons are actually trees. They're gigantic trees. And that,
Oh, I've
Have you
seen this.
seen it?
Yes, I've
Yeah.
seen
so,
it.
and you can look at the top of them, like from
Mhm.
up, like in the air, or whatever, like with drone footage, but you can see the lines
Yeah.
like a tree. Well, then, of course, back when Noah's
I
time,
think I know where you're going with this.
so Noah, they were talking, well, not really, I don't think he did. But anyway, so Noah's time, they were talking about giants and things of that nature, right? Well, the Noah's Ark was built out of wood. Do you know?
Right.
Do you know what?
Acacia wood.
No, gopher wood. You know what that is? It only grows in one place. Do you know where it's at?
Oh, yeah, I've heard this.
The
Yeah,
United
I have heard
States.
this.
Did you know that?
Yeah.
It grows in the United States in one state, nowhere else. It's weird. And if that was the case, how in the world did he get it? If he was in Egypt or Israel or wherever, we
Yeah.
don't know. They actually broke it down and tried to say that the United States was actually the promised land where they were trying to
Well,
say.
They reference Egypt all throughout his life. So
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
and if
he's
you
in
look at
that
the
area.
maps, though, you can tell that every piece of land joined together at one time.
Yes.
At
Yeah.
one time, all of it fits in together.
Pangea.
Pangea.
There it is. I don't know the words for it. I'm not
Yeah.
that doggone smart, but
Neither we.
Watch a lot of YouTube videos.
Stop clock writing twice a day, man.
right. So it's weird. And do we know everything? Of course not. So that
No.
everybody's gonna have thoughts.
Well, they say that we know 1% of recorded history. We got 1% of it.
Sure.
Like,
Well, not recorded history, but
well, yeah, you get what I'm
actual-
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we know about 1% of what happened.
how much of your brain do you use?
Not
You
much.
use all of it. You use all of it.
Listen, right before I walked out of my house to come here, my wife turned on a movie, and it was Lucy. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
So,
I have.
so it's talking about,
Yeah.
7%. When I walked out, I think she was at 20%, and of course, dropped it. But we're talking about it, and it, just different things, and that just brought to my
Well, have you ever done acid?
Man, don't ask me that dumb question. Oh, bro.
I've had times where I did acid and I could play guitar, read a book, and watch TV, and all at the same time, but process it all. I could process it all and understand it all. It's like your brain kind of wakes up and you're using more of it. I know they kind of disproved that, but they also gave it to people in the military and was like, hey,
it creates new neural pathways.
Very
That's what
much.
it does.
LSD or what you were talking about, that's what they used to give. They would give the LSD to people to see what it done. Now, my dad knew the guy that actually invented the acid, the LSD acid part of it.
That is a really interesting story because that guy was actually just trying to make a new aspirin.
Was he?
Really? Yes. He was trying to make a new
I
aspirin.
want him to make
He
it.
spilled it on his hands, and he went home and wrote about all these wild colors
Really?
and thoughts that he had and all that.
Yeah. Well, my dad was telling me that whenever he invented it, of course he was a scientist. That's what he was doing. And then when they realized what it was, and of course, they took it from him. And I don't know if he was part of it. I don't know. I don't know really the whole story and what that was. He actually went to St. Andrews, by the way. So.
acid used to be a really big thing at St. Andrews.
Oh, very much so.
Like,
It was a big thing in the 90s around here. for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, like early
All my
2000s,
friends
man.
back then.
Yeah.
all on
We used to
Yeah.
party, all of us used to party out at St. Andrews, which is sadly to watch it get closed down just recently. And it's gone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he's under the impression that he'd like to see a tech company move in there.
Well, they're talking. There's somebody wanting to do a rehab,
Mhm.
which I even told my wife when I heard about it. I was like, man, that'd be awesome rehab place. They got a pool, tennis courts, golf course. I mean, well, not a golf course, but they got all this stuff. They got housing, it was cafeteria, lunch hall, all these classrooms. I mean, it's perfect for that. A tech probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. But I mean, I'm looking at the future with people because our generation, and then from our generation all the way up to my children, that's the problem is drugs.
Oh, definitely. And it's always going to be.
Well, I mean, of course it was bad when my dad was there, but not, of course the fentanyl wasn't around, which there's 3 different types of fentanyl, if you didn't know that.
No.
You have the Chinese fentanyl, you have the fentanyl that doctors use, and then there's another fentanyl that is made for, it's like a freeze that like the ear, nose, and throat doctor uses, and he sprays it in your ear to numb your ear to be able to just like put tubes in for babies or whatever.
Sure. Doctors used to use cocaine.
Yeah.
Very much.
You know what I mean?
But back in the day, drug dealers didn't try to kill their customers.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? They wanted to keep their customers alive, so they would keep coming back. But the new generation's like, we don't give a shit. We're just going to kill our customers.
Well, what we used to do when I actually started on the heroin, we would hear about an overdose, and that's where we'd go buy our dope because we knew it was good. I'm serious. And then because fentanyl, when I went to rehab, fentanyl had just started in Scott County, where you would hear about it every once in a blue moon, but nobody knew that fentanyl was causing it. It was just heard about it, but you didn't know that. Did I get a hold of fentanyl? I couldn't tell you, probably, because I, was around that time. So I don't know.
No.
But yeah,
Well, at least you're away from it now.
Yeah, very much.
Honestly, that's the best thing.
I actually tested positive for fentanyl. And I have no idea how. I didn't take nothing off the street. I mean, I might smoke a little bit, you know what I mean?
There it is.
But
That's it, though.
I had no idea. And that's scary.
Yeah.
That's scary, man.
I think it sounds more like an attack.
Like,
have you ever
right.
heard of what's it called? Alligator or crocodile? Crocodile. The crocodile drug, heroin.
Oh, yeah.
Where it rots like heroin.
Yeah.
It just rots you away, but you can't stop using it. You're that addicted. Like, there's no rehab for that. It don't matter how much damn kratom you take, it's not going to stop the withdrawals. Yeah, but I just don't see that because I think that I don't know that there was actually a such thing as an alligator or crocodile drug. I think that it was a drug they were using, which was heroin or fentanyl, but they would get infections. So I got an infection here. And so, yeah, it was bad. So that's a track mark, and that's a track mark. But so my wife took me to the doctor. I'll never forget this. I was at the movie The Years Warmer. We went to watch Medea's Christmas that year, and it was actually the day after Christmas. Well, I went to go put my coat on. I could not straighten my arm. And at that time, my wife was more like that. You know what I mean? Kind of, she knew I was doing something, but didn't know how bad it was. So she tried to get me to go to the hospital. I wouldn't go. Well, of course, the movie was at night, so we watched the 9 o'clock movie. So it was right after 1 o'clock. We were at home then. And in my mind, I said, if she asks me one more time, I'm going to the hospital. She asked me. I literally, like 15 seconds later. And so we went. They put me in a room at like 3 o'clock in the morning. They put me in surgery. I think it was 5:30 or so. And they cut my venous artery, which artery pumps blood back to your heart. Well, they called my wife. She was in the room waiting. Miss Baxley, we need you to come downstairs. Why? What's wrong? Miss Baxley, we just need you to come down. So she grabbed my dad. She thought I was dead. Come down. The doctor flat out told her we should not have cut him because we didn't know what we were doing. That's what the surgeon told my wife. And I told her, I was like, dude, why didn't you hit record when she said it? Wait, say it one more time, But so, and they gave me a 50-50 chance to make it to Charlotte. The helicopter landed. They refused to take me up, which I don't understand why. I worked with EMS for years, but I've had legs cut off and they put them in a helicopter pressure to fly to where they need to go. But this time they refused to take me, so they had to drive me. And they told my wife, he's probably not going to make it. I'd already lost a crowd of blood. They had already hooked me up to blood. I had several transfusions. So that I get there, make it. Well, they told her, look, when he comes out of surgery, he's not going to have his left arm. He's going to be gone. They were not going to try to repair it, none of that. And they go in and I had a mark on my arm where they were going to cut me and hold. They had marks. So when they do a limb, of course, they'll say, okay, we're going to go to the elbow, but they're going to cut your skin here so they can have a flap. They had all that marked off. It was crazy, man. And it was a reality
check, but I was so strung out, dude. I didn't
Did
care.
did they know you were strung out in there?
Very much so.
Did they help you out with something? No.
I know they don't probably.
So you were going through all of that and withdrawal.
No,
at the same
Oh,
time?
no, they did. So while I was in Charlotte, the surgeon comes in after they repaired my artery, and he says, I said, dude, you got to give me something for pain. And he was like, really, man, you really want something for pain? And you're shooting up O panels? Because that's what I was shooting up at the time. But I'm like, dude, you can't leave me in here like this with no pain medication. Well, they end up putting a pump in. Well, you can't get so much out of it. And I called my cousin, and I hadn't told this story. So I called my cousin, he lived in Morrison, and he come, and he brought a box of needles. We sucked out the delight out of the pump.
Huh.
Yeah. But
How much did that end up costing you? I'm sure they.
They never said anything. Never said anything.
Huh.
No, they never do.
I mean, why would they? But as soon as I left, they even give me a prescription of Percocet that here, just write it and send me on down the road. I was supposed to go back to get like consultations and stuff like that, but I never went back. I mean, I was so strung out, man, at that time. It was bad. It was bad. That's when it really got bad. You know what I mean?
That's the easiest place to go, dude. I remember my back be hurting real bad. We go to the hospital. My ex-wife would come home. She'd open her purse, and it'd be full of fucking morphine. Full of morphine, right? Like that. Yeah, that she just swiped. You know, she'd go to the dentist office and swipe Novocaine, well, because my tooth was real bad, and I didn't have insurance, and she did. So she went to the dentist, got a tooth pulled, ganked a whole bunch of Novocaine, and we went in my bathroom, and I shot Novocaine in myself and pulled my tooth.
Ooh.
And now, so when I come back from rehab, I do want to tell you all this, but I went to rehab when I come back. 3 days after I made it back to Lawrenceburg, my gallbladder goes out. Now, in that process, what's the first thing they're going to offer? I turned it down. My grandmother's funeral was on that Sunday. I went to the hospital that morning. My wife went to church, and I went there to the doctor. He tried to give it to me, and I told him, dude, I can't. I just come back from rehab. I can't do that. And he said, well, I don't know what to do, because they didn't know what was going on. So he ended up, I left and went to my grandmother's funeral. After the funeral, went home. My wife made me come to Rocky. The doctor come in, and when he looked at me, I had my knees, like my feet were sitting on the bed, my knees were up in the air, and I was rocking back and forth. And he walked in, didn't even get close to me, and he said, by the signs of it, this is withdrawal symptoms. And I lost my shit. And I just went to come off the bed, and my wife grabbed me. I mean, I was cussing his soul out, dude. I knew what I just went through, with the rehab thing, and that was hell, by the way. So my wife walked out the hall, talked to the doctor. He comes back in. He's a totally different person. And they start running tests, couldn't figure it out. My wife's doing ultrasound on that. I was hurting, right across here. And so they did that, and I heard when they done that ultrasound, the lady that done it, she said, I was like, what you mean? What's wrong? She said, I can't tell you that. And we talked for a few minutes, and she still wouldn't tell me. I said, you cannot do that to me. And she eventually said, it looks like something's going on with your gallbladder. She wouldn't tell me what or whatever. So we get back to the room. The doctor comes in for that 5 minutes, and I had fluid build up around my gallbladder, and it was falling apart in my body. Which, if that would have happened, if you keep, the valve going right into your system. They sent me to Hairs. I stayed at Hairs for 4 days, and refused pain medication. Up till the day of surgery, my wife walked out, and my veins were so bad when I come home from rehab. My IV was in my neck, which is not that serious. I mean, it is what it is. But, so the nurse would come in and check it more than they would the regular IV. When my wife walked out, she come and sit down, and the nurse come in. Like normal, my wife started talking to me, and I felt it when they hit me. They hit me with the light, and it started at my feet. And as soon as I felt it, that was my reaction to grab that out. And I was screaming, please don't let them put this in. I mean, I had already had my mind made up. I didn't want to do this, Well, it was too late. It was already started. But they put me in surgery right after that. And I come home, they give me a prescription for the my wife kept on. She gave me two that night, give me two the next morning. She put two on the counter and told me, said, when I go to lunch, I'll come back and I'll give you if you need it. It might have been when she got off work. I don't remember. As soon as she walked out the door, you know what I done, right? I went and got it. And she set the bottle on top of the refrigerator. So, and I went to the bottle and I took two more out and I laid down on the couch. I thought, what are you doing? Man, you just went through everything you went through and effing it up right now. So my daughter was in the bed, and my youngest daughter, she's 20 now. But she said, hey, who are you talking to? I said, hold on, I'm coming. I screamed it. And then I told her, I said, I'm talking to this stupid bottle. And I got the bottle and I went right to the bathroom, opened it up, poured it down for her. And that was the last, that was the last time I actually took anything. Any medication was.
Good man. Good man. Yeah. That's some willpower.
No, it's not though. It's
well, you had the right frame of mind.
Very much,
you
very
knew
much.
that your willpower wasn't going to hold up.
Sure.
You didn't get rid of them.
It's something I deal with every day, no matter what happens. When I wake up, I know it's going to be a battle. And I do now. I have great willpower in life. So if anybody watches this that ever needs any help, I'll do anything I can to help anybody. I've got a few rehabs we can get them in without insurance. So I mean, I'm sure they can contact you or come out and holler at you. And Derek knows how to get in touch with me. So
yeah. Well, you're hearing, guys. If you out there and you need some help, you feel free to come down to Axe to Grind, have a conversation with me, and we'll get the ball rolling.
Yeah,
we'll definitely help you.
And there's not a thing to be ashamed about. Not a thing.
Nope.
And I'm not a judger, so no matter what you're using, doesn't matter to me. I don't care.
I mean, look, life most of the time brings people to this situation. So.
Well, life.
Yeah,
that's what it does.
Exactly.
And
ain't nobody got a bigger dick than life.
Right.
And it's everybody from the poor people to the people that made it look sexy. The Jimi Hendrix, the Kurt Cobains, the Bradley Knowles, the people that were geniuses. And when you talk to them about where did it all come from, every single one of them said they couldn't write without heroin. Like the heroin was always the drug of the major stars, the people that were creating things that lasted forever. So I've heard stories of Bradley Knowles where the only reason he did it was because Jimi Hendrix did it. And he wanted to get in that mind frame to be a genius, more or less, right?
We got to remember, there's the thing that people overlook is like, maybe the drugs did, release something within them, but it was already within them.
Oh, yeah.
So you either got it or you don't.
Right.
You do all the crack or heroin or whatever you want. It's not going to make you more than what you are. As a matter of fact, I've watched it too many times happen. You're going to become a lot less than where you are at right now.
Yeah. And during my prescription days, I can name an attorney, actually several, one judge, several doctors that I used to go by for, not from, by for. Two are still attorneys. I think the judge is gone. Doctors are still doctors, for sure. Mm-hmm. And of course, they always thought I was going to tell it, but that's not who I am. I'm not. I mean, I had the same demons. So
it's your life. Yeah. You know what I mean? You get to spend it however you want to. So it don't mess with the way that my family or my friends or myself kind of spend our life, and vice versa.
Well, and
we can do whatever we want, so it don't affect anybody.
I'm a little more partial to it, I guess, because of my life. But if I see somebody I've had phone calls from people. Some of them, that called me from a drug house and begged me to come get them. And I would go there. Now, did I have to? No, because I could go back to sleep. But I'd be in and pick people up, and I'd help people out. Many times have I took people to rehab. I worked at a facility here in Richmond County. As a matter of fact, I had about 40 acres, about 3 miles from there. That was part of a rehab like they got mental health. But that's who I am, man. I guess everything like fell from the alligator situation, and then of course this come out. But then I don't mind telling people about anything about me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it'll help somebody,
Yeah.
I'm game.
Yeah.
I'm game.
I always like that too. So I think we're just about running out of time. Before we go, I did want to mention that our Hurricanes, they shut them out yesterday. They shut out the Capitals yesterday, and we will be continuing our way through the bracket. Very proud of our guys. So I always catch everybody up on what's going on with the Hurricanes.
Hockey.
It's
I was
hockey.
fixing to say there's not one out there right now.
There's always a hurricane in North Carolina.
I'm kidding.
We have I don't know if you follow hockey or not, but we have an outstanding team in North Carolina. And yeah, like you can't even get there to watch any games. I think there's not a ticket under $200, I believe.
Yeah.
Something to that effect. Yeah.
Where are they based?
Playing at Raleigh.
Yeah, Raleigh.
Yeah.
I've heard of it, but I'm not a sports person, man. If it didn't have anything to do with bulls and dope, I didn't care.
There you go.
Well, they're actually playing right beside of where they ride bulls, right there at the where they have the Mexican fair,
Okay.
and what is it, the
It's more
state
the fairgrounds,
fairgrounds, and you got what's that other building that I've wrestled in that building, big building there, but they've had bull riding there, right.
Well, hopefully I can help you guys with some other things. Hopefully for some more shows with some people.
That would be
We
great.
discussed that earlier.
Yeah.
We are always looking for interesting people
Oh
talking.
yeah. Well, maybe we can.
Yeah.
We ain't gonna name the person because I don't want to jinx it. But
No.
maybe you can put on a show and then do a podcast, or do a
Yeah.
podcast and then do a show. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever y'all can do. We'll make sure he's got everything he needs.
Yeah.
We'll try. But thank y'all for letting me
Yeah,
come on.
thank
and
you.
even telling a story, man. That means a lot. That I was able to tell not just the alligator thing. That was really cool. It really was. But just telling my story on drugs, and then maybe it can touch somebody. I mean,
Maybe somebody out there is, it's serendipitous.
Yeah.
Somebody out there heard what they needed
Yeah.
to hear.
hopefully,
Or maybe help them find the help that they need.
really.
See, here at Axe, we've got this week we've got our trivia this Wednesday, karaoke Friday, and I believe it's a DJ this Saturday. I think double look. I hate these new little.
When is your busiest night? Usually.
It'll vary. Depends on what we got going on. Usually it'll be a Friday or Saturday.
Well, and you're open. What's your hours? I'm just wondering for myself, but
We open 11 every day but Sunday, and then the closing time kind of varies. Tuesday, Wednesday it's 9 o'clock. Thursday it's midnight, and then Friday, Saturday is 2 a.m. That's look at the bar.
what about the food? Is it good?
Yeah, the food.
Food's really good.
Oh, man,
Best
I'm
pizza
gonna
ever.
talk to somebody out here and say,
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
There you go. Go ahead. Go talk to
I'm
them.
sure I'll get some.
Yeah, we're gonna have a
testimonials
DJ
on
this
how good the food is.
Saturday.
I'm just asking because I'd like to bring my wife. Now, is there age limit or anything?
So long as the kitchen's open, kids are welcome. After that, look for a couple hours. We'll go to a bar on the weekends,
course.
but for the most part, yeah, throughout the week. Yep, absolutely.
I just wondered.
Derek, you guys got anything going on out there at the hotel you need to plug?
No. And the band, we took 2 weeks off. We're gonna go back to practicing this week. We're gonna start working on recording some stuff
Okay,
and writing an album. Hopefully get that out. We'll be here on July 4th.
that's right.
And our
Giveaways out there,
World
too.
T-shirts are up on sale on Amazon.
Those are adorable. Yeah, you've already showed me those.
I'm gonna do this on here. And don't you edit this part out. So when are you gonna let me feature in the band?
I would
I'm
love,
just kidding.
I would love to have you. Yeah, because the energy, you know what I mean? Like nobody in our band's a superstar. Like,
I'm not a
superstar. It's about having fun.
Right.
I want.
If you can't have fun, there's
Yes.
no reason to do it.
Yes, you bring the energy. The more you bring, the more the crowd's going to feed back to
That's
you.
right.
That's right.
We have to do something one day.
Yes, I would love that.
Next time
Like,
y'all practice, let me know.
Yeah.
I'll come out.
and the last time I played with you, I could barely play my instrument.
Yeah.
I've had 20 years of practice since
And, you
then.
know, I've watched you play on Facebook and stuff, and I've enjoyed it.
Yeah,
So,
like
hey, you've done really good. I'm proud of you. And it was nice meeting you for the first time. I
Very nice to
think
meet
it's the
you.
first time. You remind me of the guy that does that, the first minute audits. You know what I'm talking about?
I've seen quite a few of my.
He wears like that. No, he looks just like you do. Glasses, beard, everything. I'll show you a picture.
Yeah, show me. I'm not familiar with it.
I'll show it to you. You would like.
Yeah, I do like those. I like those. I like to watch body cam footage.
I love
you know,
watching
like
body
stuff.
cam footage. That's
But
all
I
I've been
love those
watching.
personally because look, watch these Karens just
Yeah.
lose their mind.
Right.
Like, I don't give you permission.
Oh,
I don't really care.
And they're recording you.
And there's cameras everywhere. You can't go nowhere without a camera. Like, I don't know anybody's where there is no privacy in public.
No.
And they've made for damn sure that there's no privacy in public.
Right.
So these cameras that the city have here last week, and even today have facial recognition. So you can be driving by at 60 miles an hour. That camera gets a glimpse at you, and it tells exactly who you are, pull up your whole background.
It is.
They can hit the license plate on that car and pull up the whole history of that car. Like they've got it all if they need it. Yeah.
Amazing.
Like,
Okay. Well,
well,
that's all I've got.
thank you guys. We'll see you next week.
We'll see y'all next week.